Have you ever wondered how the great minds of history faced the challenges that life presented to them? Welcome to a new episode on our channel, where ancient wisdom faces modern dilemmas to offer us unique and transformative perspectives. Today, we delve into a universal and timeless theme: adversity. We all, at some point in our lives, face challenges that seem insurmountable. But how do two of the most influential figures in history, Seneca and Jesus of Nazareth, teach us to deal with these situations? Through his teachings, we will explore strategies to overcome obstacles and learn to apply these ancient tips in our daily lives. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher who lived in the tumultuous period of the Roman Empire, and Jesus, the founder of Christianity whose ideas transformed the world, offer radically different but deeply enriching approaches to dealing with adversity. While Seneca urges us to strengthen our inner selves and see setbacks as opportunities for personal growth, Jesus teaches us the power of faith and the importance of community support. Both paths, although divergent in their approach, guide us towards greater resilience and understanding. In this video, we will not only compare and contrast their approaches, but we will also see how these ancient wisdoms can be surprisingly relevant to our times. From personal problems to global crises, the teachings of Seneca and Jesus have the potential to offer comfort and guidance. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future content, where we continue exploring the intersections between philosophy, history, and modern life. Join me on this intellectual and spiritual journey as we discover together how these historical figures teach us to live better despite challenges. Are you ready to change the way you view adversity? Let's find out. Historical and philosophical context. To fully understand the teachings of Seneca and Jesus on dealing with adversity, it is essential to immerse yourself in the historical and cultural contexts in which they lived. These contexts not only shaped his thoughts and actions, but also deeply influenced his philosophies and the ways in which his followers interpreted his teachings. Seneca and Stoicism in Imperial Rome. Lucius Annius Seneca, born around 4 BC in Cordoba, Hispania, and died in 65 AD, was a Roman philosopher, playwright, and politician who lived in a time of great political and social changes. The Roman Empire, under the rule of emperors such as Caligula, Claudius, and Nero, was a scene of political intrigue, corruption, and often brutal repression. Seneca himself was tutor and advisor to the infamous Emperor Nero, and his life was marked by the rise and fall of his political power, including a forced exile to Corsica. Stoicism, the philosophical school to which Seneca belonged, originated in Greece but found fertile ground in Rome. Founded by Zeno of Citium in the 3rd century BC, this philosophy focused on logic, ethics, and physics. It promoted the idea that virtue, the highest good, is sufficient for happiness and that one must accept the present moment without passion, pain, or desire, using reason to maintain self-control and emotional independence in the face of external circumstances. In an environment as turbulent as Rome, these teachings offered solace by allowing people a way to maintain serenity and personal dignity in the face of the adversities of fate. Jesus of Nazareth and the beginning of Christianity. Jesus of Nazareth, on the other hand, lived during the 1st century in the Roman provinces of Judea and Galilee, a region marked by political tensions and messianic expectations among Jewish communities. Born in a humble home in Bethlehem and raised in Nazareth, Jesus began his public ministry at a time of religious fervor and hope for liberation from Roman rule. Jesus' teachings, however, quickly distanced themselves from the revolutionary currents of his time by promoting a message of love, mercy, and forgiveness. Christianity, emerging from the teachings and ministry of Jesus, centered on the figure of Jesus as the promised Messiah who offered salvation not only to the Jews but to all humanity. His teachings did not seek a political revolution, but rather a spiritual transformation of the individual. This approach included a strong emphasis on community, service to others, and a promise of eternal life beyond earthly suffering. Jesus' message was revolutionary in its insistence on inclusive love, even toward enemies, and on the fundamental equality of all before God. Contrast of contexts and teachings. The comparison between these two contexts highlights fundamental differences in their philosophical and theological approaches. While Stoicism promoted active resignation and personal autonomy in the face of a chaotic and often cruel world, Early Christianity offered a community support network and a transcendent hope based on faith in a benevolent higher power. These environments not only shaped the teachings of Seneca and Jesus, but have also influenced how later generations have interpreted and applied these philosophies. By studying these contexts, we can better understand why his messages about facing adversity resonate even in our time, and how we can apply these lessons in our own lives to manage the personal and global difficulties we face today. Seneca's teachings on adversity. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoics of ancient Rome, addressed the topic of adversity with a depth and perspective that remains relevant today. In his writings, Seneca argues that adversity is not only inevitable, but also essential to the development of character and virtue. This Stoic approach is based on the belief that the good life depends not on our exteriors, but on our internal response to the challenges we face. For Seneca, adversity acts as a crucible for human character, an idea he articulates clearly in his letters and essays. In De Providentia, for example, Seneca explores why bad things happen to good people, concluding that the gods put these people in difficult situations as a way to test and strengthen their virtue. Through adversity, Seneca argues, the quality of the soul becomes evident, as in times of war true courage emerges. According to him, without challenges, there is no opportunity for moral heroism. In Stoicism, autarky, or self-sufficiency, plays a crucial role. Seneca teaches that we should aim for an independence from external circumstances, focusing on what is within our power, our responses and attitudes. Adversity, therefore, provides the perfect setting to practice this self-reliance. In his Letters to Lucilius, Seneca suggests that when we face difficulties, we have the opportunity to practice virtues such as patience, temperance, and fortitude. Every obstacle is an opportunity to exercise our ability to remain calm and reason in difficult situations. Seneca also addresses the question of how emotions influence our ability to handle adversity. In his work of Anger, he examines how anger can cloud our judgment and exacerbate our tribulations. For him, an essential part of facing adversity is cultivating a balanced state of mind and avoiding excessive emotional responses. This emotional control does not involve suppression, but rather understanding and redirecting our passions so that they are aligned with reason and virtue. Another important aspect of Seneca's teachings on adversity is preparation. He advocates premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, a Stoic practice of envisioning the worst possible scenarios. This mental exercise not only prepares the individual to face possible difficulties, but also helps minimize the emotional impact when these difficulties actually occur. He who has learned to suffer has learned not to suffer, says Seneca, suggesting that by familiarizing ourselves with the idea of adversity, we can face it with greater serenity when it arrives. Although Seneca emphasizes the importance of self-reliance, he also recognizes the value of wisdom and the support of others. In his letters, he frequently advises Lucilius not only on how to manage his own life, but also on how to offer advice and comfort to others. This shows that, although Stoicism values inner strength, it also considers mutual support and guidance between people seeking to live according to reason and virtue to be crucial. In short, Seneca's teachings on adversity offer us a framework for understanding our challenges not as impediments to our happiness, but as essential elements for our personal growth and empowerment. By approaching adversity with a prepared mind and a resilient spirit, we can aim to achieve not only peace but also moral excellence. Teachings of Jesus on adversity. Jesus of Nazareth, whose teachings are the foundation of Christianity, offered a deeply transformative perspective on how to face adversity. Unlike the Stoic approach focused on self-reliance and reason, Jesus emphasized love, faith, and dependence on God as means to overcome trials and suffering. His teachings, recounted in the Gospels, provide numerous examples and precepts that have guided his followers through the centuries. One of Jesus' most revolutionary teachings is the command to love our enemies and forgive those who have wronged us. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Matthew 5 verse 44. This approach not only changes one's perspective in the face of adversity, transforming it from an individual challenge to an opportunity for spiritual and moral growth, but also alters social dynamics by promoting reconciliation and peace. Jesus taught that faith in God is essential to overcome difficulties. Through parables and miracles, he demonstrated that faith has the power to move mountains. Matthew 17 verse 20. For Jesus, adversity is an occasion to deepen trust in God and see his hand at work even in the most challenging circumstances. On multiple occasions, Jesus calmed storms, both literal and metaphorical, reaffirming God's constant presence with believers in times of crisis. Contrary to the Stoic idea of the individual as an isolated entity facing his challenges alone, Jesus established the importance of community. He taught that mutual support among community members is vital. This is seen in his command to carry one another's burdens, Galatians 6 verse 2, which underscores the idea that we are not alone in our struggles. The Christian community, according to the teachings of Jesus, should be a place of mutual acceptance, support, and love. Perhaps one of Jesus' most complex teachings on adversity is the notion that suffering can be a path to spiritual glory. Jesus not only predicted and accepted his own suffering and crucifixion, but he also taught his disciples that following him would involve crossing their own. If anyone wants to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Matthew 16 verse 24. In Christianity, suffering is not seen as an evil to be avoided, but sometimes as a means of purification and deeper union with Christ. Finally, Jesus offered comfort in the midst of adversity through his promises of a hopeful future and eternal life. The Christian vision of the kingdom of God, a kingdom of justice and peace, provides believers with hope that transcends present difficulties. In John 16 verse 33, Jesus says, "In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." This promise acts as a beacon of hope to believers, reminding them that any temporary adversity is insignificant compared to the eternal glory that awaits them. In conclusion, Jesus' teachings on adversity invite a complete reorientation of how one faces difficulties. It is not just about resisting, but about transforming suffering into an opportunity to deepen faith, strengthen community relationships, and renew hope in divine promises. Through these teachings, Jesus not only provided a model for how to live and overcome adversity, but he also offered his followers the tools to find meaning and purpose even in the darkest of times. Comparison and contrast between Seneca and Jesus. Seneca and Jesus' confrontation of adversity reveals not only two great philosophies, but also two fundamental approaches to how human beings can and should handle life's challenges. Below, we explore these approaches through direct comparison and analyze their relevance and impact on their contemporary followers and modern society. Stoicism, represented by Seneca, advocates robust self-sufficiency. Seneca promoted the idea that the individual has within himself the necessary tools to face any adversity. The key is to develop virtue and use reason to maintain peace of mind and the proper perspective in the face of challenges. In contrast, Jesus' teachings focus on dependence on a higher power, God, and on the community of believers. Jesus taught that faith in God and mutual support among members of the Christian community are essential to overcome difficulties. This approach not only relieves the individual of the burden of facing adversity alone, but also promotes a sense of shared purpose and hope. Seneca's teachings resonate in a world that values independence and self-control. In an increasingly secularized and individual-centered environment, the Stoic perspective offers an attractive framework for those seeking a way to personally manage stress and adversity without relying on external factors. Seneca's approach is especially appreciated in areas such as modern psychology, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, which emphasizes the importance of controlling our perceptions and reactions to external circumstances. On the other hand, the teachings of Jesus remain fundamental for millions of people around the world who find in the Christian faith a source of comfort and strength. In times of global crisis, such as natural disasters, pandemics, or social conflict, the vision of Jesus offers not only personal relief but also guidance for community action and mutual support. Additionally, in an era of increasing mental health awareness, an emphasis on community and caring for each other can be particularly healing and empowering. In conclusion, the relevance of Seneca and Jesus in the contemporary world demonstrates that, although their teachings originated in very different historical and cultural contexts, both approaches offer valuable tools for understanding and managing adversity. While Stoicism appeals to those who seek to strengthen their inner autonomy and ability to face difficulties alone, Christianity offers a model of interdependence where burdens are shared and challenges are faced in community. Ultimately, the choice between these philosophies may depend on personal context and individual needs, but both provide a rich source of wisdom for modern living. How do we apply these teachings in modern life? Can we integrate the teachings of Seneca and Jesus? In a world that often feels overwhelming and full of challenges, the ancient teachings of Seneca and Jesus offer valuable insights and tools that we can apply in our everyday lives. Although they come from very different philosophical and spiritual traditions, both offer paths to greater resilience and emotional well-being. Let's explore how these teachings can be applied to various aspects of modern life, from managing stress to building more supportive and empathetic communities. Seneca's Stoic teaching on autarky, or self-sufficiency, is especially relevant in the modern context of stress and anxiety. In the workplace, for example, we can face daily pressures and setbacks that affect our mental health. Seneca would advise us to maintain a clear distinction between what is and what is not under our control, focusing on our response to challenges rather than the challenges themselves. This translates into the modern practice of mindfulness and stress reduction techniques, which teach us to observe our reactions without judgment and to respond in a more calm and measured way. On the other hand, Jesus' teachings about the importance of community and faith can be a source of strength and support. In situations of loss or failure, communities based on the principles of empathy and mutual support can offer significant comfort. In the context of mental health, this may mean finding or forming support groups, either in person or online, where members can share their experiences and offer each other support. In our personal relationships, Jesus' teaching to love your enemies and the Stoic command to maintain equanimity can help us manage conflict and improve our communication. When we face disagreements or tensions, applying Christian forgiveness and Stoic understanding can help us overcome resentments and promote more constructive dialogues. This combination of compassion and rationality can be particularly effective in family and social environments, where emotions often run high. Both the teachings of Jesus and Seneca emphasize the importance of personal growth through adversity. In the modern era, this can translate into a proactive approach to personal development. For example, facing a career change or returning to education as an adult can be intimidating and full of uncertainties. However, following the Stoic model, we could see these challenges as opportunities to develop new skills and strengthen our character. Simultaneously, maintaining a faith in our abilities and a higher purpose, as Jesus suggests, can provide us with the motivation and hope necessary to pursue our goals despite obstacles. Finally, both teachings have significant applications in the social and community sphere. Jesus' call to serve and love others can inspire us to get involved in volunteerism and community initiatives that seek to alleviate the suffering of those less fortunate. Simultaneously, the Stoic perspective on the acceptance of adversity can help us approach social problems from a more balanced and sustained point of view, avoiding despair and promoting rational and practical solutions to complex problems. Integrating the teachings of Seneca and Jesus into our daily lives not only improves our ability to handle personal and relational challenges, but also expands our ability to contribute positively to our communities. In a world that desperately needs more understanding, resilience, and cooperation, these ancient sages offer valuable guidance. On our journey today, we have discovered that although Seneca and Jesus come from very different worlds, they both offer timeless wisdom on how to face adversity. Whether you lean toward the philosophical introspection of Seneca or the spiritual and communal approach of Jesus, both paths offer valuable tools for our personal and collective resilience. Share your thoughts and which approach resonates most with you in the comments. We hope to see you in the next video. If this analysis has inspired or helped you, consider liking the video, subscribing, and sharing it with friends or family who can benefit from these teachings. Your support helps us bring more content like this. Thank you for joining us today, and until next time,